2, 1.
Hello, my name is Robin. My audience for tonight are going to be my in-laws, Janice and Chuck, and my wife will be holding the camera for me. So, the draft. We all know it's required for the ages of 18 to 25 for all males. Should females be required to register for the draft as well? Well, the stance I'm going to present tonight is going to be on a con as to why it might not be beneficial or necessary for females to have to be required to register for the draft. So, I've spent 10 years active duty with the Navy, another 2 years in reserves, and I've spent most of that time with the Marine Corps unit. So that's where all of my expertise and are going to end up coming from. So we're going to identify some problems with requiring females to be registered for the draft, some causes as to what those problems could end up causing, and then potential solutions that we might be able to come up with to alleviate, or maybe even lack of solutions that they have yet to solve in regards to why we still having this issue. So, according to the Selective Service Registration Compliance of 2023, there are currently 15 million men the ages of 18 to 25 registered with the Selective Service. And according to USA Facts, as of September 23, the Armed Services currently has, to include active duty and reserves, approximately 2.86 million service members. So right now we have 5 times more in reserve in the registered for the draft than we do service members currently serving. So, okay, cool. Now, what if we were to double that number to require females? Now you got to find, should we have to implement that draft? Now we got to find jobs for 30 million service members. Should we have to do that? So, according to the article in March 2020 from the Center of a New American Security, the Marine Corps has had the lowest percentage of women in the services. Less than 8% from officers, warrant officers, and even the enlisted. With only about 231 actually serving in combat billets. Now that's including artillery, combat engineer fields, and assault amphibious fields. So, according to the Marine Corps training requirements, it takes roughly 13 weeks plus another 2 months for infantry themselves to get through basic training and get through their MLS school to be able to learn what they're going to do. So, and from my experience, it takes about from the time you actually get to your first unit, about 6 months to a year before that service member actually has an idea of what they're actually doing with their job. And that's not including learning what the guy above them was supposed to do should he ever have to step up and take that job. So you're looking at about 1.5 years that these service members have to go through. There's one problem right there. But now we're going to get into the issues more specific to females. According to U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, women are more likely to develop PTSD. According to the VA, they're twice as likely to develop PTSD due to traumatic events than what men are. Okay, so right now, now we're getting into the why maybe we shouldn't institute women into the draft. Okay? So, and then based on an article from the Marine Corps Times, from the year 2017, they had their first female officer make it through the course. Over the next 5 years, they had 12 out of 39 female Marines make it through that course. And that's approximately 25% through each fiscal year. So they're spending all this money to get women through the course, and they're not making it through the course. So right now there's another problem that they're running running into. And due to the standard requirements, now we have limited job opportunities for the females that don't make it through these infantry combat courses. They have limited jobs to where they can be placed. So now you also have to deal with stereotypes. Volunteer service members versus people that are forced to go serve. So now we've got issued these problems and effects from these problems. Let's get into possible solutions. Well, the first solution is standards. Well, you can't lower the standards because that's what's required to operate in these combat environments. So you can't lower the standards. So that solution's out. I mean, might be able to tailor it, and over time they kind of do. They tailor the standards, but they never lower them. Okay, so that's one solution that you can't fix. And now you got to deal with cost and training. Well, for a while it was all predominantly male, and as they start to integrate more and more females into the actual active duty armed services, now they have to make accommodations for. And so when the more and more you have to make accommodations for something, the more it might take out of a budget for somewhere else. So now you're having those kind of issues. Now you get into the issue of camaraderie. How do you fix? What's the solution for that? Well, most units are usually once they get going and get ready to work up for a deployment, they're usually, by that time they're ready to go somewhere. They're a very cohesive unit. And now in the case of a crisis where you got to institute the draft and start implementing those people into those units that are already operating like an oil machine, now you got to figure out how to work them into it, and it's going to kind of slow down your productivity. So now you have that issue there. So hopefully I've kind of covered up the problems that we've had by not only just instituting the draft in general, but like now making it a requirement for females to be required to register for the draft. And hopefully we kind of address some of the solutions that they can look at. May not necessarily be fixed, but areas that they can look to start addressing solutions. So, is it actually necessary, and should they be required for females to be registered for the draft?